Linkin Park have just released a deluxe version of their newest album, From Zero, and I did a ghost ranking video, so now I thought I'd do a Linkin Park ranking video, ranking their albums from worst to best. And I bet you're all wondering where the new album fits in. So let's find out, shall we? Let's go. Hello YouTube, this is Meteora. Welcome back to the channel, and today we are ranking Linkin Park's albums from worst to best. Now, yes, I am including From Zero. It is technically a Linkin Park album, and I do actually enjoy it. I genuinely think it's actually pretty good. I know it's not quite the same, but it's the Linkin Park we get, not the Linkin Park we wanted. But nonetheless, I think give it time, more people will come round to it. So, let's just crack on, shall we? There are 8 albums to go through, and let's start with number 8 being One More Light from 2017. Now, this is Chester Bennington's last album before he died, and I will totally be honest with this. I didn't really enjoy this one. It is a little bit too pop for me, and that's the main reason why I haven't really listened to it all that often. I generally think I've listened to this album in full twice. Once when it first came out, and actually when I was trying to figure out the rankings for this video, I actually went through it again. But I did find that I actually really liked one extra song. So there's 2 songs that I like off of this album. The title track, for one, I generally think is a really nice song. Obviously, it does have some impact with what happened, I think, which adds a bit more to it, obviously with the video and whatnot. It's just a nice song in general. And the other one is Talking to Myself. That one I generally think is sort of the more rockier track on the album for that one, and I think that's the reason why I like it. But the fact that this album had Pusha T, I do believe it's pronounced, and Stormzy on it just really sort of put me off. I'm not a big fan of featured artists on Linkin Park albums, and this was sort of the era that they just had too many features for me, and it kind of ruined it a little bit, and that's the reason why. Next up, number 7, we have 2010's 1,000 Suns. Now, this was a dramatic change from Minutes to Midnight. For me, this is a more replayable album than One More Light is, and I actually liked a lot more songs of that one. So I liked Burning in the Skies, Waiting for the End, The Blackout, and The Catalyst. But that is like 4 out of 15 songs on the one album. And I do feel like a lot of these tracks are just sort of filler, just small sort of 1 minute and a half tracks that are just nothing. And that's why I'd rather listen to these songs from this album on a playlist than just rather listen to the album, because the songs in general are really good. I just feel like the rest of it's just sort of filler, and that doesn't make me want to listen to the album as a whole. Next up, we have 2014's The Hunting Party. Now, this album, for me, actually had at least 4 songs that I liked. So it was All for Nothing, Wastelands, Until It's Gone, and Final Masquerade. These are the songs that I really liked off of this album. As I said before, this is another era where I feel like they had too many features. It feels like sort of 4 out of I think is it the 12 songs that are on this album really have features on them, and again, it's just a little too much. I know one of them was like a 2-minute track that had Tom Morello on. Yeah, I get it's Tom Morello, but why? Did it really need it? That was my point. And again, I do feel that this is an album I'd rather listen to those songs on a playlist than I would listen to this whole album. or I'd just rather listen to another Linkin Park album. The songs generally are really fantastic, but for me, it's just one of those ones of I sometimes forget they exist. But I do feel that the songs are better from Hunting Party than they are on A Thousand Suns. So that is why Hunting Party is at number 6. Number 5 is Living Things from 2012. Now, this is an album that when I got back into Linkin Park, probably just after Hunting Party in about 2017, when One More Light came out, and obviously everything that happened with Chester and whatnot, I really got back into them. I'd only listened to 3 songs at this point, so it was Lost in the Echo, Burn It to the Ground, and Castle of Glass. These were the 3 songs that I was like, okay, this is actually pretty good. This is kind of what I like from Linkin Park. And obviously when I got back into them when From Zero was announced, I realised that this album is actually better than I remember. In My Remains and Roads Untravelled have actually become more on my repeat plays from this album. This album was definitely a good blend of what they did, building off A Thousand Suns and adding their heavier elements from their previous albums. It's a nice mix of it all, and sort of when you add it to playlists and you have these songs on there and then you have songs from A Thousand Suns, it doesn't sound quite so odd from the stuff from A Thousand Suns. But genuinely, I think this album is definitely a grower. So it's at number 5. So we have 4 albums left to go. So obviously, this is where it starts getting interesting. You're thinking, oh, where have I put From Zero? Well, I have put it at number 4. And yes, you will be surprised I have put Linkin Park's new album at number 4. Now, there is a reason for this, because first of all, it is the album we never expected to get. And yes, I have put it here because it's nice and fresh, and I have listened to it rather a lot since it's been out in November 2024. Musically, it sounds like a mix of most of their back catalogue, with heavier songs like Two-Face, being really sort of Hybrid Theory era, and Up From the Bottom having sort of Minutes to Midnight / Living Things kind of vibe to it. So it's a really nice, refreshing sound from Linkin Park. And of course, they have that sort of alternative rock / sort of metal sound overall throughout the album. And it just sounds, again, nice and fresh. And what more could I ask for from a new album from Linkin Park? Of course, there is a big sort of elephant in the room with the new female singer, so Emily. I generally think she's done a good job, and I know there's a lot of people that have in fact been put off by having Emily in the band. However, obviously it's not the Linkin Park we wanted, but it's the Linkin Park we've got, and I said to myself that I'm going to listen to it, and I've actually enjoyed it. So I'm actually looking forward to what comes next after this. It'll be interesting to see what direction they go from what they've done from this album. But I actually enjoy all the songs off of this album. I generally think they're really good. They've got a nice sort of alternative rock feel, as I mentioned before, and they really do have some heavy stuff. Again, Emptiness Machine, Heavy is the Crown, Up From the Bottom, are sort of the main sort of 3 songs, and Two-Face, sorry, are the sort of the 4 songs off of this album that really do stand out and I think generally are fantastic. And then it's not just filler either, so like Cut the Bridge, Good Times Go and stuff like that is they're generally just really good songs, and it's a nice flowing album. It's one of those ones that I actually will generally put on repeat quite a lot because I've really kind of got into it, but it really does not beat the top 3 albums. Of course, we've got left Hybrid Theory, Meteora, and Minutes to Midnight, the top 3 albums from Linkin Park. Now, This is where everyone has a slightly divided opinion of which one goes where. But I have put them in at number 3, Minutes to Midnight. Now, I don't really have to say much about this album because, again, like the other albums left to come, it is absolutely fantastic. And you look at the track listing, you've got Given Up, Leave Out All the Rest, Bleed It Out, Shadow of the Day, What I've Done, Hands Held High, No More Sorrow, Valentine's Day, In Between, In Pieces, and Little Things Give You Away. Now, most of those songs I will listen to as on a playlist, and just in fact the album itself. I remember having this when it came out, and I remember it being released, and my CD got delayed, and I was furious because I really wanted to listen to this album. And I wasn't a big fan when they started going down the bit more sort of alternative sort of rock route. I was like, oh, it's not quite as sort of heavy sort of nu metal as what Meteora and Hybrid Theory was. But the more you listen to this album, the more you realise that it's not just all What I've Done. You have Given Up, which is generally the heaviest track and probably the most awesome track off of this album. And again, No More Sorrow hits hard, Bleed It Out hits hard. You know, even sort of like In Pieces can hit quite hard as well. But then you've sort of got like the more sort of chilled sort of, you've got the rap track of sort of like Hands Held High, and then you've got the sort of like the real chilled stuff of Shadow of the Day. And this is the album that sort of projected them into sort of where they went, and you can see bits of from this album what they've used further down the line as well, which I think is absolutely brilliant. So, next up we have 2 albums left, and of course, in at number 2 is 2003's Meteora. Now, again, I don't really have to explain too much about this because you've got tracks like Don't Stay, Somewhere I Belong, Lying From You, Hit the Floor, Faint, Figure 09, Breaking the Habit, From the Inside, Nobody's Listening, Session, and Numb. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You had 5 singles on this album, and they are all absolute bangers. Now, this is a very hard one to do because Meteora and Hybrid Theory are sort of so synced together where they're so very similar, but there's also some really good songs on both albums. They're really, really hard to place. I mean, I generally think that, you know, this is definitely where it needs to be, Meteora. I don't think you could put it any lower, but you can't just quite get it any higher, because number 1, of course, is Hybrid Theory. I don't need to go on about it. You know, you've got Points of Authority, Crawling, Paper Cut. In the end, you know, I just go on and on and on. It is a banger from start to finish. Everyone knows about this album, and you can see why it is number 1. It is just one of those albums, again, I think there's also a nostalgia fact that, you know, this is an album I grew up with, so I'm going to love it more and more and more. And it's just one of these albums that you can just put on. You can sort of reminisce about old times and still enjoy it, and it still holds up today, which is the thing. So Meteora, Minutes to Midnight, and Hybrid Theory all completely hold up. You know, even for Minutes to Midnight, it's pushing 20 years. So they're absolutely, all 3 of them, brilliant albums. But Hybrid Theory is the one that stands out just a little bit more, because I generally thought this one was going to be quite easy. I knew my top 3. I wasn't sure on the rest where I wanted to place them, but these were the ones I'm like, okay, which ones do I actually like more? And I was listening to Meteor and listening to Hybrid Theory, and I'm like, oh, it's like the smallest amount. And I think it's because of the extra nostalgia, and it was genuinely the first album I pretty much ever owned. You know, you just look at the track listing with it. It's Paper Cut, One Step Closer, With You, Points of Authority, Crawling, Runaway, again is a banger. By Myself, banger. In the End, A Place in My Head, banger. Forgotten, Cure for the Itch, Pushing Me Away, My December, and High Voltage, again, all just bangers. It's start to finish, which is why these sort of top three were kind of a little bit hard to place, but they're of course just so good. So drop us a comment, let us know what your ranking of these albums is going to be. Are you going to include From Zero on that list? Because I know it's put a lot of people off. So again, this ranking is just completely my opinion, so it does not matter at all how you think of these albums. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? I'd actually like to know sort of where you put certain albums. I do find it very, very interesting to see kind of where people place these albums, because obviously everyone that listens to all of them, you know, you might enjoy one more than I did. It, again, just personal opinion, but nonetheless it is fun to see what people think in general. I hope you guys have in fact enjoyed this video. It's been quite fun to make. It's also been a lot harder than I thought as well, but nonetheless quite fun. So again, drop a comment, consider hitting that subscribe button if you're into the strange brand form of entertainment. That is myself, and with all that out of the way, hope you enjoyed. See you all very, very soon. Bye bye.